The show begins at an airbase in Scotland, where the military is informed about a hijacked plane, landing soon at the base. Colonel Allen also arrives at the scene, and takes charge. They have been informed that the captain and the co-pilot are dead, and a random passenger is controlling the aircraft. The soldier instructs and helps the passenger to safely land the plane. As the team is examining the situation, a young boy climbs down the plane, and makes his way safely to the ground. The soldiers approach him, and rescue him. The passenger, who was flying the plane, is being held on gunpoint by the team, presuming that he is one of the terrorists. In the meantime, Allen and one of his team members visit the rescued boy, who is in deep shock, and the lady doctor tries to comfort him. She asks him about the incident, and the flashback begins. The boy's name is Alias, and is preparing himself to board a flight, while waiting for his mother. We are introduced to his mother, Nadia, who is a widow from Germany, and is getting ready to travel to New York with Alias. Nadia seems to have been suffering from leukemia, and plans to see a physician, who can provide her the treatment she needs to get well. She goes to the airport, and joins Alias for the flight. She goes to a restroom to take her medicine that causes her extreme anguish. In the meantime, Alias befriends a fellow passenger, Farid, who introduces himself as a Muslim physicist. Nadia and Alias board the plane, while she experiences discomfort with her medical condition. All the passengers settle down, and the plane successfully takes off. After some time, a group of hijackers create some distraction, forcing air marshals to move aside. After that, one of the boarding staff stealthily kills the air marshals, revealing himself to be a part of the plan. His name is 8-Ball, and seems problematic to his crew, due to his psychotic behavior. The co-pilot, Bastion, is also a part of the crew, and allows the hijackers inside the cockpit. After that, their commander, Berg, informs the passengers that he and his men have taken possession of the plane, and that everyone should stay put, until a ransom is paid. One of the hijackers locates the black box, and destroys it, in order to stop the jet from being followed on radar. Despite his mother's warning, Alias makes a break for the cargo hold to hide, and Nadia follows him. When 8-Ball spots them, he shoots Nadia multiple times, and she seemingly drops dead in the galley. Alias is returned to his seat, to be comforted. Assuming she's dead, the hijackers begin the second stage of their plan, forcing Farid and other Muslim passengers to record a confession that frames them for the crime. In the meantime, Nadia regains consciousness, and relives the day her husband was killed. The family is returning from a vacation, with their newborn baby Alias, when their car breaks down on a snowy road. In order to look for help, he leaves Nadia and Alias in the vehicle. When her husband fails to return, she follows his path, and comes across a remote woodland home. She finds her husband dead in the basement, where she is attacked by a feral vampire. The vampire managed to bite Nadia, before being burned to death due to sunrise. Struggling as a mother, Nadia soon turns into a vampire. She later returns to the remote home in search of answers regarding her affliction. The vampire's elderly father confronts her, and warns her about her curse. He tries to shoot her for killing his son, but she overpowers him, and beats him to death. She then steals his supply of injections that quell her hunger, and burns down the house. Back to the plane, Nadia begins transforming into a feral vampire. She manages to access the cargo hold, and breaks free from her dentures and contacts, to reveal her mutant eyes and teeth, before killing and feeding on a dog. When a hijacker catches her in the act, she kills him, and drinks his blood, completely changing into a vampire. Meanwhile, Berg's team puts the plane on autopilot, and prepares to parachute from the lower deck. Worried that the diverted flight path will now expose her to sunlight, Nadia takes Alias to the cockpit, and decides to turn the plane around. Upon finding the pilot dead, she recruits a passenger, who has a background in aerospace engineering, and asks him to fly the plane. After finding Nadia's medication in the cargo, the terrorists realize she is alive, and return to take back control of the cockpit. Nadia bars the cockpit door, to keep the hijackers from entering. However, Berg executes a passenger, and threatens to kill more, until she opens the door. Having fully transformed into a feral vampire, Nadia exits the cockpit, and bites him. After realizing the danger, 8-Ball and his crew retreat to the cargo hold. She then stabs him with a knife, before he can fully transform into a vampire. After reading her medical history, 8-Ball and the crew realize what they are dealing with, and decide to kill her. 8-Ball uses a UV light to immobilize her, and uses a syringe to draw blood from her body. Before he could stake his mother, Alias approaches him, brandishing Berg's gun, and accidentally shoots out a window, depressurizing the plane. Regaining control of the cockpit, the hijackers restore the pressure. 8-Ball escapes into the cargo hold, and locks himself in a bulletproof car. He uses Nadia's blood to inject himself, in order to transform into a vampire. Remembering the old man's warning about stopping the curse's spread, Nadia sets the car on fire, but is unable to destroy him completely. Soon after, the remaining hijackers, except Bastian, are ambushed and slain by a vampire like 8-Ball, while the passengers arm themselves for defense. 8-Ball bites Farid's hand, when he and Nadia bar the cargo hold door, to keep 8-Ball out of the cabin. Nadia then amputates Farid's arm, to prevent infection. They are able to secure the aircraft, and lock 8-Ball in the hold, after Nadia persuades them that she wants to assist. Nadia is told by Bastian that they have to make an emergency landing, or risk the jet crashing, since there isn't enough fuel to go to New York. 8-Ball is released by a self-centered traveler, who is about to die from an injury, in the hopes of getting bit. Instead, he kills the men, and turns the majority of the other passengers into vampires. Nadia makes the selfless decision to use the hijackers' explosives to murder them, since she knows they will escape if the plane lands. Alias stops her, and rushes to get the detonator, so his mother won't have to sacrifice herself. Alias successfully gets the detonator, but gets surrounded by vampires in the cargo hold. Farid is forced by Nadia to swear to take care of Alias, before killing and eating Bastian. She rushes to the cargo hold, to save Alias from 8-Ball. As she struggles to save her son, 8-Ball overpowers her, but Alias blows open the cargo hatch to disorient him. As 8-Ball climbs back, Farid directs the aircraft into the morning sun's path, resulting in 8-Ball burning and falling to his death. Alias uses his blood to save Nadia's life, but she rejects him and runs away, knowing that her hunger for his blood puts him in danger. We are brought to the present time, after the plane arrives at an RAF base in Scotland. Alias and Farid beg the authorities not to board the aircraft, and search for survivors, but the authorities ignore their pleas, which leads to a slaughter. Alias is taken away in an ambulance, while Farid is taken into custody. After breaking free from the ambulance, and making his way back to the jet, Alias witnesses his mother exit the aircraft, and feed on a soldier. When he summons her, she responds with a growl of hunger, and moves in his direction, with the intention of eating him. Alias sets off the detonator, killing his mother and the other vampires, realizing that all that's left of her is a ravenous beast. The authorities decide to release Farid from detention, after realizing that he is not a danger. He approaches a disheartened Alias, and gives him a hug, as the camera slowly moves away.